Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sreetips here. What we're going to do for this experiment is we're going to process a large batch of computer scrap. I have it sorted out. Here's some of it. We're going to add that in, get a weight. I've got another group here. We're going to add all this in and see exactly how much scrap we're working with on this experiment. Okay, that's 2.5 kilos in a 5-liter beaker. I'll clean all that other stuff up that got spilled. I'm gonna put this up on our heat source here. Now we're gonna cover this with some distilled water. I've got some nitric acid. We're going to add half a liter of nitric acid to the separatory funnel. Now we're going to add this to our, put it in our fume hood. Add some heat, and then we're going to start slowly dripping the nitric acid into this scrap. See if we can loosen these foils. Okay, I've got it going at a fast drip. That's how we'll introduce the nitric acid, so I don't have to sit here and add it. Just let this run on autopilot and adjust the drip rate so that I don't boil the liquid over the top of the beaker. All right, we started out with 2,500 grams of scrap. I'm going to divide that by 453.5, because that's how many grams are in a pound. We've got 5.5 pounds of scrap in there, and I've done this before, and the most I've ever been able to get is 1.8 grams of pure gold per pound. So we're going to multiply 5.5 pounds by 1.8 grams of pure gold. We're looking at recovering almost 10 grams of pure gold from this amount of scrap in our beaker. can see the fume production has ceased in here. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to take the nitric acid delivery apparatus down and out of there. Just crank this heat up a little bit. Let this continue to cook. And I'm quite certain there's still a little bit of acidic solution in there. We'll just let that work on the rest of the base metals, and then we'll go to the next step. We've got the fingers in a rolling boil. And I think what I'm going to do here is go ahead and add a little bit more nitric acid to that up there. I'm going to put 100 milliliters of distilled water. Now we're going to add 100 milliliters of nitric acid. Let's go ahead and just add this right on in to our solution now that's boiling. This is the waste solution from the recovery I did yesterday to get that 0.3 gram BB of gold. If you look down there, it looks like we've got some gold still precipitating out of these solutions. If you look at the bottom of this beaker, it looks like there's a ton of gold still left down in there. This is the waste solution that we poured off after we precipitated the gold out of that recovery that we did in my previous video to get the 0.3 gram BB of gold. Looks like a lot, but there's just a light dusting on the bottom of this beaker. The point is, it's still coming out of solution. So that means that gold is bound up in these waste solutions. All right, if you look at this one, this is the big container, and it doesn't have as much stuff on the bottom that's come out of solution. In fact, I can't hardly see anything. But the point is, going straight to Aqua Regia puts all the metals in solution: the copper, the iron, the nickel, and the gold. And it's those extra base metal ions in there that interfere with the precipitation of the gold. Here you can see we're still getting a pretty vigorous reaction after adding that 100 milliliters of nitric diluted with 100 milliliters of distilled water. Got a nice coating of gold built up on top. I just added about another 50 milliliters of nitric acid, and that got a pretty good reaction going on. So that means that there's still base metals being dissolved had this going for about 12 hours, and I've added almost a liter of nitric acid. So now we're going to shut this down. We'll shut the heat off, let it cool down, and we'll get in here and see what we got. I allowed this solution to cool overnight. Today is the 4th of July, and I'd like to wish all my viewers a happy and safe 4th of July celebration today. And what we're going to do is work on our scrap here. I've got the recovery process complete now. I've got all the base metals in solution and separated from, well, not separated yet, but I will separate these base metals that are in solution from our valuable gold foils. And you can see by that stannous test, I don't have any gold in solution. It's just going to be copper, nickel, and iron in solution. What we have in this beaker now is 3 things. We've got our valuable gold foils. We've got the metals in solution, which is waste. And we've got those pieces of fiberboard in there, which is also waste. So now what we're going to do, I've got 2 hoses here, and I'm going to try to remove the solution out of this beaker. One is a fine one, fine tip on it. The other one's a coarse tip. We're going to start out with the coarse tip. Got most of the waste solution pulled off of these foils now. That's what it looks like in here. I'm adding some distilled water to rinse. If you look, when I was drawing this solution off, it did draw a few pieces of gold down at the bottom of this flask. Not much. But what we'll do is we'll recover that now by filtering this liquid using our specially prepared filter paper. I was trying to save time by drawing that solution out of our beaker with a vacuum bottle, but I could have just poured the solution directly into the filter, because I ended up having to filter it anyway because some of the gold foils got down in here. Just remember, I'm kind of making this up as I go here, trying to choose the next logical move to get the best result, the highest yield from our scrap. Here's the little bit of material that's in our filter. And now what we'll do is we'll transfer our funnel to this larger flask. And what I'll do, this is just going to be a waste solution here. It's barren. There's no precious metals in it. This is all our junk metals that we've removed from our gold foils. This is what was causing problems for us in the previous video, where we tried to dissolve everything in aqua regia straight away. So we'll just get rid of this solution now. And what we'll do is we'll set up to filter off the rest of this solution in here. This is our valuable material in here. We're going to be filtering off this rinse water now. Got all that rinse liquid pulled through. I'm going to rinse it one more time with some distilled water and try to get as much of that colored liquid off of there as I can. It's looking pretty good right now, but I'm going to try to get all that color out of that solution before we try to refine the gold foils. If you look down in here, some of these pieces of board have gold foils still adhering to them, but I think that's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to try to refine this gold with the pieces of fiberboard still in here. We should be able to do that. I don't think the fiberboard absorbs much of the gold bearing solution and can be rinsed off fairly easily. I've got all the gold foils separated from the base metals now, and the recovery process is complete. We're ready to go to the refining process. Here's our waste solutions. There's nothing in these waste solutions except copper, nickel, and maybe some iron. So what we can do is just exclude these, put these directly in my waste treatment bucket. I've got a filter here that's got some gold foils in it, and what we'll do is we'll transfer this filter. There's our gold foils. That's a significant amount, so we'll put that in a separate beaker and process these. We're going to begin the refining process by adding some hydrochloric acid to both of these beakers with our gold material. I'm adding a little bit of heat to each one, and I think what we'll do is try to even this out in here a little bit. It's just kind of cockeyed with the foils. I level that off. Now let me measure out about 50 milliliters of nitric acid. And we'll add this directly into the big beaker here to form aqua regia, and this should put all that stuff in solution. Some of the foils are up out of the liquid, but the fumes from this aqua regia should dissolve everything, and then we can rinse it down into the bottom of the beaker. Here we go. Those gold foils are very thin, and they should start dissolving almost immediately. Now what I'll do is add about 3 milliliters to this beaker over here of nitric acid, and that should be enough to put all those gold foils into solution. Let's go ahead and kill the heat. These have been on for about 20 minutes in hot aqua regia. Now what we'll do is transfer our liquid out of these fingers. I'm gonna rinse this with a little hydrochloric acid. Try to get the rest of that gold out of there, much as we can. Got some hydrochloric acid here in a squirt bottle. Rinse this down real good. I think what we'll do is pull the little beaker here down off this hot dish. Get it out of the way. And now we'll bring our, pour our rinse water, or our rinse acid actually, into this main beaker. It's got the rest of our solution in it. Let's get back here and get a status test on this solution back here in the back. Let's see if we got some gold in the solution here. Just a light stain, just a few tenths maybe, but enough to go ahead and try and recover it out of that filter. Let's do a status test on our main solution here. It's got a fairly dark stain going on. What we'll do is just combine both of these solutions now. I think what I'll do now is set this up on the heat and evaporate some of this solution away. I've got all the values in that beaker up on the heat right there. It's going to be excess nitric. I put 50 milliliters of nitric acid in there, and that's way more than needed. You can tell by the fume production that the excess nitric is being driven off as we boil it. What we'll do is reduce the amount of liquid we have to work with by boiling it down like that. But we're going to check this now. Got all the values out of this material. I've rinsed it over and over and added it to that beaker up there. And we're going to get a quick status test and show you that there's nothing left in this solution that's on those pieces of circuit board. It's all gone, nothing in there, barren. Got this evaporated down, so now what we'll do is take it off the heat and let it cool down. I'm going to use some ferrous sulfate to precipitate the gold out of this solution. That's about 178 grams of ferrous sulfate. add some distilled water. And now we'll stir this up, add a little bit of heat, and dissolve this ferrous sulfate. And use this to precipitate out our pure gold. Do a little status test here. See, we've got a nice dark stain. I'm expecting about 10 grams of pure gold from this 2.5 kilos of trimmed circuit card fingers. I've got our solution cooled down so we can filter it now. And what we'll do is add a little bit of hydrochloric acid to our ferrous sulfate to green it up. Our ferrous sulfate is done. It's ready to be used to precipitate our pure gold. Set it back here out of the way. Look down in the beaker down here, it looks like I've got a little bit of metallic gold that came out of solution. How? Why? I have no clue. It's not much. And then there's a little bit of metallic gold, looks like, in our filter. I'm not going to try to retrieve that and include that with the yield. I don't know where that came from or how it come out of solution. We'll just add this filter paper. I'll put a little aqua regia on that, add it to my stock pot. Clean beaker, we're going to add this solution, our gold bearing solution, in this clean beaker. I'm going to start adding our ferrous sulfate now. We're going to pour it through this filter and drip it down into our gold bearing solution in here. And I'm going to put it on time lapse and we're going to watch it via time lapse. Here we go. I think I've got all the gold to come out of solution now. What we'll do is let's get our funnel off of here. Reach down in here and get a status test on this stuff. There we go, negative status test. All the gold is dropped out of our solution now. Now what we'll do is filter our gold out of this waste solution. Collect our gold in a filter. cask is getting full. Alright, here's a look at the gold down in the bottom of the beaker. I'm going to take this filter with our gold in it. I'm going to add it into this beaker. I'm adding some hydrochloric acid. A few drops of sulfuric acid. Now we'll put some nitric acid in here. And we're going to redissolve the gold a second time. I've had this in the upper region now for about 15 minutes. Should be completely dissolved, but there's some gold left in there, which is kind of unusual. So we're going to add a little bit more nitric acid here, see if we can get the rest of that to go into solution. It's about a half a milliliter ought to do it. I'm adding a shot of hydrochloric acid to freshen things up in there. Just is not dissolving well for some reason. I'm going to put a couple more shots of hydrochloric acid in here and follow that up with some more nitric acid. That's about 1.5 milliliters. That should take care of it. Took about a half an hour, maybe a few minutes longer than that, and I've got everything to dissolve now. I'm going to take this down off the heat and let it cool down. Actually some very small bits of undissolved gold in the bottom of this beaker still, and I'm not going to try to go after it. What we'll do is just add that to my temporary waste container, and we'll get it out later. This is a ferrous sulfate solution that we didn't use, and what I'll do is just label this ferrous sulfate, and we'll save it for a future precipitation. The solution looks nice and clear, and what we'll do is rinse our filter out now with some distilled water. And then we'll get set up to precipitate out our pure gold. reach in here and get a status test. Oh yeah, got a nice dark stain there. Gold in solution. I'm just going to add a couple of spoons of SMB to our solution. This should come out of solution with 2 spoons of SMB. Here we go. 1, 2. That should do it. Test, make sure we got everything precipitated. Boom. No gold in solution. I think what we'll do here is put this up on the heat and let it boil so we can settle it out quickly. This one took about 5 or 6 minutes boiling. Got it settled out. Here's our pure gold. Looks pretty good. I don't know if we got 10 grams in there or not, but we're getting ready to find out here in a minute. Alright, let's rinse this off with some water. I'm going to pour the waste off into my temporary waste container. Here's our gold. Put some hydrochloric acid on it. Give it a boil for a few minutes. And some hydrochloric acid. Rinsing it with some distilled water. And here's our pure gold down in the bottom of our beaker. Let's get the gold down into this melt dish. Let's take it over here to the melt table. The gold looks really good. And we'll melt this up a nice little button here. That's a nice one. Nice looking surface to it. Got a little pipe on it. Got a little flux on it. So what we'll do is we'll stick it into this beaker, add some distilled water, and then we'll put a little sulfuric acid in here, not much. Put this up on the heat and get that flux off of there. While I'm waiting for that to dissolve, I just wanted to show you here. There's metallic gold in this filter. I don't know how much, I can't really tell, but it looks like a decent amount. So that's going to affect our yield because some of our gold ended up in this filter. Been boiling in this sulfuric acid for a couple minutes now. I think we got the flux off of there. That thing looks fantastic. Let's go rinse the solution off the gold button to get our prize. Let's get in here and get our little button out of here. Look at that thing, man. It is beautiful. I can see my reflection in it. That's one of the nicer ones I've created here recently. Got a real nice looking surface on it. Let's put it up on our scale. See what this thing weighs. We're expecting 10. We're hoping for 10. I don't think this is going to be 10. Look at that thing, man. It's beautiful. We've got 7 grams of pure gold from 2.5 kilos of trimmed circuit card fingers. I'm happy with it, man. I like the way this thing came out. Look at the reflection in there. You can see it's like a mirror. It's beautiful. What we'll do is we'll put this up for sale on my eBay site and let it go for bids. Okay, this will conclude the 2.5 kilos of trimmed circuit card fingers recovery and refining video. Thank you for watching.